Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I'm sitting here checking my volumes to make sure I got the volume right on this video. Okay, want you to hear this guy schooling the IMF as the head of the IMF is literally on stage. Watch this.
We need a financial transaction tax at a global level where even countries like Kenya pay. We do not want anything for free. You will pay more eventually because you have a bigger economy. We will pay commensurate to our economy. And we want those resources controlled not by IMF and World Bank. Because IMF and World Bank, you have the final say. We don't have no say. We want another organization of equals.
You better be careful. This is how countries like this is how guys like him get off, is by talking bad to these head government honchos.
Where you have as much say because you pay as much as we do because we also pay. That's the organization we are looking for. And that is why we are saying we need a new financial architecture.
We need a new architecture. Now, he might be okay saying that to their face and embarrassing them on stage, as long as he doesn't go to a gold standard. Because remember, the gold standard, that's not acceptable. Remember when the IMF, was it Zimbabwe that tried to go to a gold standard recently, and IMF cautioned them not to do it or whatever? Well, Glint's one of my sponsors for a reason. Got the referral code DAIB50. Get 50% off vaulting and insurance fees for the next 12 months. This is good until 14th of July. The link's in the description. This allows you to buy gold in your Glint account. You get to have a debit and MasterCard, and you can literally spend your gold. All right, the next 5 years are going to be explosive for crypto, but not in the United States because we have Gary Gensler. It's going to be explosive in Abu Dhabi. So, sorry for us, good for them. Other countries get to benefit. Let me take that back. The U.S. is going to do great, but it's only going to do great for Chinese-sponsored companies like Prometheum. Prometheum plans to be the first to utilize an exemption frequently used in the stock market within the crypto space to allow for the public trading of digital asset securities. It's called Rule 144, and you can learn more about it here. When I saw this, they're going to utilize an exemption. It immediately reminded me of when the congressman had the CEO in front of them, and he said this.
Add additional assets and abilities as time goes on. I'd like to point out when I'm
going to reclaim my time. Mr. Kaplan, did Prometheum receive any additional exemptive relief from the SEC that has not been publicly shared?
No.
Thank you, Mr. Kaplan.
So, translation, they did not receive any exemptive relief yet. Maybe that's something that old Gary is planning. And then we have this is another clip from Laura Shin's interview and this guy didn't get enough credit with this Rodrigo Sierra, however you said, sorry, Rodrigo. But anyway, listen to him put the CEO of Prometheum in his place.
The reason you alienated the community, Aaron, is because you called everybody a scofflaw, and you should have a little bit more empathy for the entrepreneurs that have been, with the best intentions, trying to make this work. And you go around saying that everybody's violating the law willingly and that you've somehow magically pulled, a rabbit out of a hat, which this is frankly, this is a space where a lot of people have been, actively working on it. And it's even more insulting when you don't have anything really to show for it other than a license.
But what's a little bit insulting is that you basically say people who are trying to do it the right way are trying to do the wrong thing. And essentially what your argument is that people who rush to market and disregarded the investor protections should be rewarded and should continue to be rewarded as new legislation takes a half a decade to go into place. Basically, you just don't care about the public and what's in their best interest.
If you enjoyed the...
Man, vomit. Now, this Truth Labs has got an interesting tweet here. It's critical that I drive home 2 points. One, CCP is ETH's biggest whale, masked behind Wang Zhang and others. Well, masked also behind the ICO, which disguised the whales, and for some reason nobody wants to go find out who they are. Two, Wang Zhang was perfectly positioned to wear the mask, headquartered in Chicago, tied to Biden and Bush, blockchain partnerships with MIT, IBM, UBS, Microsoft, and more. This guy says Wang Zhang ties to the current SEC darling Prometheum. Yes, Hashkey, Prometheum, Pre-Angel, AMDTD, Longling, Multichain, Ling. This is him saying it, not me. Apex, Ethereum Foundation, and many more. How much ETH do you think they hold? Ether is as a number or percentage of supply. A complete guess, 66.6%. I found 12 Genesis block wallets today alone there where they ended up, and the majority of the ETH from. It's hard to know. They were invested in over 500 projects. Folks, make no mistake, folks. I can feel it in my gut. This is a Chinese infiltration of blockchain and the financial industry in the United States. And the most telling part is that neither side of Congress is really doing what they could do. They could stand up and stop this today. Nobody's doing it. Warren Davidson, where's your talk about the CCP? Tom Emmer, Patrick McHenry, where is your talk about the CCP? Because that's what this is. Jack, from who used to own Twitter, who founded Twitter, removed from the App Store for enabling tipping to everyone in the world without the need for a bank, payment card, or government permission. And Wheat Say Win says, just like the XRP tit bot was removed from Twitter, doing the same. That looks like a shot across the bow to Jack Dorsey to me. Stefan Huber, who is Mr. Huber now, is all over it again. Every day he's all over it. Consensus, first down here, Consensus has just deleted their old domain, completely revamped the website, got a new logo, and no longer recognizable. They delisted JP Morgan's Quorum from their products on their website. He also found this. The following partnerships were deleted from their partnerships page. MasterCard, JP Morgan Chase, MakerDAO, Protocol Labs, Greater Bay Area Homeland Development Fund, Alameda Research, CMT Digital, Finbushy Capital, NGC Ventures, The Lao, Nordstar, SNZ, Distributed Capital Partners, Liberty City, and Quotidian. Those are all deleted. Tipsy Tiger, I agree with him. Clayton, just a coincidence. Hinman, just a coincidence. A16Z, just a coincidence. STB, just a coincidence. EEA, just a coincidence. Consensus, just a coincidence. Prometheum, just a coincidence. Nothing to see, folks. And for my next magic trick, Cowboy Crypto puts this out. Founded by former chief attorney of the SEC Division of Enforcement, Ray Kaplan, is one of the prominent securities law firms in the United States. No wonder Prometheum skated right through the SEC. Kaplan's daddy is ex-SEC Enforcement. Then Rob Cunningham, against the backdrop of all that we've shown you, FTX, who was in bed with the entire government, ETHgate, it was in bed with the entire government, CFTC, SEC, all of it. Now we have Prometheum in bed with the SEC, obviously. And Rob, against the backdrop of all of that, and then a lawsuit against Ripple, folks, by the SEC, price does not, this is so true, price does not equal value. We must never be deceived by a sole reliance on just our eyes. This is exactly how magicians deceive. Distract their audiences. Gold, silver, XRP, XLM value is far higher than prices being reported. The value of them, of course it is. What happens if you don't have ETHgate? What happens if you don't have FTX? What happens if you don't have Prometheum or the Ripple lawsuit? I'll tell you what happens. You have a much higher price of XRP. What happens if JP Morgan does not manipulate the gold and silver prices for decades? What happens? What happens if the government is not involved in all of this regulatory capture in cohort with private industry participants? What happens to the values of these things? Watch this clip.
The price is being betrayed by the exodus and the accumulation by the most sophisticated money in the world. If price was completely indicative of value, then who's draining the exchanges? Why are the central banks on a buying spree of literally unparalleled comparison? And
what happens if the CCP has not infiltrated our financial system and blockchain?
You know, you have to ask yourself, is this bigger than what the price would indicate? And
what happens if Jay Clayton does not ignore the national security guy when the guy warns him not to go hard against our blockchain industry, i.e. XRP and Ripple? What happens to the value?
That's why I talk a lot about misdirection, about suppression and misdirection, because it's not as straightforward as your eyes would lead you to believe. You have to trust your gut. And I think this is one of those. And the same thing would be true with XRP and Ripple. You got to trust.
What happens if Jay Clayton doesn't ignore Joseph Grunfest when he tells Jay Clayton that if you sue Ripple but you leave Ethereum alone, it will affect the markets in a bad way, and it'll totally poison the well? What happens if Jay Clayton actually listens to the truth? Ashley Prosper, look at this. Attorney Nicole Tatz was on the Ripple's legal team until December 2022. She then left her law firm a month later, joined the SEC's Division of Enforcement in January 2023. She does specialize in securities litigation, but still, that's a curious job change. Well, yes, it is, Nicole. And I'm going to finish here. This is Monica Long, president of Ripple. Listen to this. She was at Paris Blockchain recently.
It's really interesting to look backward. We started this journey of working with financial institutions in 2015. We would walk into banks. The original pitch was this idea of you can create an account on a public blockchain called XRP Ledger. It has a built-in decentralized exchange. This would be a very efficient way for you to conduct cross-border payments, provide you a lot more transparency. This was right after Mt. Gox collapse and Silk Road bust. You could guess that the banks generally slammed the doors in our faces. The timing was off. Since then, over the years, crypto as a market expanded a lot. There's been a much warmer embrace across the institutional world. The past couple of years have been a real tipping point for institutional DeFi, where you see even the biggest banks embracing this technology as the future, and they have to adapt or die. It's really...
I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family that I want to know what happens to the value of XRP without all of the nefarious activity. Thanks for listening.